If you got any West Coasters awake, yeah, God
Yeah.
bless you.
Yeah, thanks for setting your alarm, guys. Thanks for being with us. We definitely had some good magic. You knew always exciting that we had the top four in the morning at least, so you have some reward for waking up. Really
Absolutely.
exciting competitive play here.
Tempo of Silence to begin for Tran. Looks like he's going to keep his first card on top. You've got an Elvish Mystic, so a little bit of mana acceleration here for Brady. And again, we are underway. And, again, the mana acceleration is going to be super important in this matchup for Brady so he can get out an early Domri Raid, an early Xenagos, and for him, an early Garruk, Caller of the Beast.
Right, and Min is, definitely salivating a little bit because he's got two Supreme Bursts in his hand. So, and here's the Sylvan Carriot on Hal's side if no, he has Domri, never
He's going
mind.
to play a Domri, even
So,
better.
yeah, I didn't see the Domri. But if the problem with this deck is you got to really devote, see what I did there? The entire board to your calls. You got to play all these mana guys, and you notice he misses. Oh, he doesn't miss his land drop.
He missed, yeah, he missed with the Domri.
Yeah,
There's
Mr.
a Temple
Domri.
of Silence.
Yeah, so I mean, it's not too bad for Hal right now because he has a Domri in play active, but Min has so many answers to that Planeswalker comparatively to like the blue-white control deck that he's going to be able to dispatch it pretty well. Oh, how about two of them though?
Yeah, another Planeswalker Xenagos is showing up here, and this is the thing that's pretty difficult for the Esper deck.
I think Min has a. Does he have a Watery Grave in his hand with a Dissolve?
There's potential for that. I see
a temple. I think
yeah.
there's a Watery Grave behind that. If he does, he missed a huge opportunity here.
Sylvan Carriot going to come down. Sphinx's Revelation was the draw.
He does have a Watery Grave,
yeah.
and he has a Dissolve. Oof. You got to be able to leave your mana untapped just to counter Planeswalkers here. He does have the Dissolve, too, yeah. So a little bit of a misstep with Min-Tran. Now you're facing Planeswalkers that should never have even been there.
Yeah, he's got one of his own in Jace Architect of Thought. That's going to tick on up, so the -1, -0 effect will be here. But, again, it is super important for him to get that Xenagos and get that Domri off the table. Right now, Domri is up to 5. You see Temple going to scry. Nice interaction here with Domri and the Temple. Make sure that you do hit a creature.
Yeah, yeah.
And of course, Xenagos is able to just pump out a bunch of 2/2s. And again, these are the problem cards in the Greenwood Devotion deck. I agree with you, where the creatures really aren't that difficult to beat.
Right.
But those Planeswalkers, those can be tough. Puts a lot of stress on Hero's Downfall and Attention Sphere.
Yeah, and if he doesn't, it's not like you can just ignore Domri. You can ignore Xenagos to some extent. Garruk, a lot more dangerous. There was just drawing 1,000 cards there, but you cannot ignore Domri at all because you'll lose the game.
Yeah. So in across with a couple Satyr tokens, Jace is going to move down to 3 after the 2 triggers. And we'll see what the follow-up's going to be here for Brady because he obviously has a lot of cards in his hand, and he's going to go with Pelucranos, the World Eater.
Yeah, we're going to see a verdict on Min's side, but then again, look at Domri at 6. He has basically 2 turns effectively to deal with that, or I don't like to say the game's over, but the game is over in that scenario.
Yeah, it is pretty tough to once Domri's ultimate does happen. This here Supreme Verdict, it's almost impossible.
Right. Yeah. If you guys don't know, it gives him hexproof, double strike, trample, and haste.
Yeah. What doesn't it do?
Yeah, he does everything. And he pluses Jace here. I like that because obviously Xenagos is going to continue to put pressure on. And there is a Garruk, but Hal's kind of short on land, so I think he's going to drop a couple mana accelerants here. Well, obviously he's going to do all this junk first here with Xenagos and Domri. And he's going to see here.
And there's Pelucranos. And Domri now is sitting at 7. Pelucranos is going to come directly into play. And now Domri's ultimate, it is live, so it needs a hero downfall. Needs a hero's downfall. Needs a Detention Sphere. You can see him in Tran's hand. He's got lands. He's got Dissolve. He's got Supreme Verdict. What he does not have is an answer to the Planeswalker.
Yeah, he's going to definitely. I like the Scryland first to dig, and then he's going to activate Jace to get the max amount of cards deep enough to see if they can deal with that.
Yep.
And he is going to ignore it.
Verdict. Wow.
I do not like this. It's not. I mean, obviously this is the most efficient thing to do, but
yeah, you can't. I always love when a Domri player ultimates because they just throw those 7 dice right on the side. They're just
done,
like, yeah, this is in.
Yeah, this is. I'm just very surprised by this play.
I mean, it's at this point now, as there's a Satyr token, it's almost impossible to win.
Yeah.
From the Esper perspective, because obviously you can't ever get an emblem to go away. It's not something that you can kill, and it's just it's very difficult to overcome because now every single one of Brady's threats are just going to be completely insane. And there's a Burning Tributaries that's free mana and basically a 4/2 creature.
Yeah. Yeah, and the hexproof makes him just absurd.
Yeah.
I think the big thing here is maybe Min thinks he could have beat an ultimate here. He does have another verdict, but.
Now here is a Pelucranos too, so a lot of things going on here. Now everybody's going to get in the red zone. See if it's going to go towards Jace or go towards the old scoop 'em up. It doesn't matter where it's going.
And I just wonder. I mean, obviously, I really want to goldfish there, see what the top 3 cards are. Rabbit hole, because I thought that's what he was doing. He played the Scryland first before activating Jace, it just would seem like he would automatically go to using the second ability on Jace, looking at 3 more cards, and then being able to deal with the Planeswalker. Um, so Min, I think, a slight opportunity there. Especially think about also the dissolve. He could have dissolved Xenagos.
Mm-hmm.
Then he could have dug with Jace and then hit the Detention Sphere or Hero's Downfall. And then he would have been left with no Planeswalkers and a fistful of just dorky creatures. And Esper has no problem dealing with.
And Verdicts could have cleaned those up.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
game 1 goes over to Hal Brady and Green Red Devotion deck. It is trivia time, however. So Shane, I'll let you explain the rules very quickly, and then I'll fire away a question.
Sure. So for you guys listening, we're going to give away 6 months of free premium. Somebody's going to ask a question on Twitter, and you guys have to follow SCG Live, hashtag SCG Premium. And when you do follow that, respond to the question with the correct answer. It's not about speed. It's about just being one of the guys right. We're just going to pick one at random, completely random. So don't bother kicking stuff over, rushing to your computer to put it in. Just take your time, respond, make sure you get the right answer, and then we'll pick one at random.
All right. The question for 6 months, not a too difficult of one, but if you take a look at Hal Brady's sideboard of Green Red Devotion, he does have a nice little 1-of there in the board. Pretty good card against enchantments and artifacts from the Gruul strategy. And if you're able to name that card, that does trump Detention Sphere and opposing enchantment artifacts. Hashtag the answer at SCG Premium, and make sure you're following at SCG Live. And again, we will announce the winner at the conclusion of our semifinals, as we're going to move on to the sideboards here, my friend.
Yeah, sure.
Now, of course, you're the Esper player, so I'm going to give you this.
All right, cool.
You get to start, see what you can do to turn around your matchup against Hal Brady and his Green Red Devotion deck.
Yeah. We have a few nice spicy ones here. I think negates are great because it doesn't actually, when you think about playing against a deck like Devotion and an aggro deck, you don't think about negate. However, the only cards that beat you are the Planeswalkers. So you got to negate the Planeswalkers. Thoughtseize is another good one. You're not going to get dealt a whole lot of damage by the Green Red Devotion deck as long as you keep them, off all these permanents. So if you're Thoughtseizing them and taking 2 damage, it's not a huge deal. So I would definitely bring in Thoughtseize. I'd definitely bring the negates in. And just one could argue for and I'll bring the Pithing Needle in as well because again you're still losing to those Planeswalkers, so it's good to bring those in.
Speaking of cards that are worthy to negate, 3 copies of Burning Earth. That makes you want him even more. You also see the 4 Mistcutter Hydras, a great card against Esper too. Puts a lot of stress on Hero's Downfall and Doomblade to have it at the right time. Now Leo's Disciple, of course, more for your aggressive red decks and Boros decks, which were in the room yesterday. You've got 3 Wasteland Vipers, which is a good combo with Pelucranos, but not going to be helpful here. And a Singleton Destructive Revelry, which can take care of Detention Sphere, can take care of that needle in the sideboard as well. So I expect to see that come in. So the options here are actually pretty good for Hal, where, you see a lot of decks that have, a couple Bringers and a couple Mistcutter Hydras. He's really loaded up on cards to, help him against control decks.
Yeah, and the big reason is, as we predicted, or as you brought it up, but I predicted earlier, Green Red Devotion has a hard time against this Esper deck. And you need to make sure your sideboard is bringing in everything but the kitchen sink there, because you need lots of cards. You got to cut a lot of these dorky creatures that you have in your deck for Mistcutter Hydra, which is obviously just house against blue-white more so than Esper, but still pretty good against Esper. It's hasted, it can get a lot of damage in quickly. Destructive Revelry is another card that I really like, and I say this to those listening. You can't really play more than one of these type cards in your sideboard, and we were talking a lot about that yesterday. The more of these you play on your board, you play 2 Wear and Tear, 2 of these, you're playing more, 2 or 3 of them, and you draw those. I've seen more losses on camera and just personally from playing Magic by a guy holding 2 Disenchants when you're playing a deck that's made to deal damage with creatures.
Yeah. You dilute your deck too much, and your deck doesn't function the way it's supposed to, and put unnecessary pressure. You give that control player too much time, and they don't even care if they disenchant their thing at some point, because they have so many cards, and they've taken care of all your answers.
Yeah, they're like, all right, you disenchanted my second thing, I'll Revelation for 7 in response. So it's not exactly an even exchange there. All right, so Min will be on the play here. I can't be responsible for game count, so Min, let's tighten up here. I want to see a 2. I want to see a 2-0 sweep at this point.
The Esper player,
yeah. Let's do it. Yeah. So, I mean, like we said, there's good guys and bad guys, right? We just disagree on who the good guys are.
I see.
All right, here we go.
All right. Tran's going to take a look at his opening hand. There's a Revelation hiding out over there. He also has a negate. Looks like a charm, too. Not sure how many lands, but there is a Temple of Deceit there, so that almost makes it an auto keep.
Yeah. A Temple of Deceit and Azorius Charm is tough for me to ship just in general, so Min is going to keep. I think I see a decent amount of land in house. Looks like 3 land. That's not bad.
Yeah, he's got a Nykthos among them. Looks like there's a Destructive Revelry hanging out, a Pelucranos, a Garrett Collar Beast. So those look like the most explosive hand with mana acceleration like we saw last game with Elvish Mystic.
Right.
And he's got a scry land to try to maybe smooth some things out, and he is on the draw, so he's going to get that freebie draw step. Not sure if this is the place he wants to be, but he decides he is going to keep it, so we'll
Yeah.
be underway here. You see Tran's going to start off with Temple of Deceit. Does have a Godless Shrine in his hand, too, to cycle that Azorius Charm.
Right, and the beauty of top 8 matches, top 4 matches, is that you have sideboard to look at, so you can look at, and you know he has Destructive Revelry in his deck. Normally when you get Disenchanted, it's pretty much, it can be a blowout and a turn, but Min knowing that the cards in his deck allows you to play a little bit smarter and better.
Temple going to come into play here for Brady. Going to scry his top card to the bottom, pass that turn back. Tran going to untap and draw very quickly. There is a Plains, pass the turn back. So lands look to be okay.
Yeah.
Going to see a Cycle Azorius Charm coming here soon.
Yeah, see a negate in his hand, which is, as predicted, because there's only just the Planeswalkers that beat you, so you really need that negate.
Burning Tree Emissary going to come into play. Trigger, another Burning Tree Emissary. And there is that Nykthos in Brady's hand, so things can get a little out of control here as the Cycle Azorius Charm will take place there for Tran on Brady's end step. Tran will play an island, pass the turn back, and represent counter magic, among other things.
And it looks like, it's hard to see his hand, but I see a Verdict, and I see a negate, and I think that might be a second Verdict.
Yeah, definitely got a Revelation hanging out over there. There's a
No, it might be,
Nykthos.
it's a Revelation, you're right. So he's got the tools he really needs, because if Hal plays anything non-Planeswalker, he's going to get verdicted this turn. If he plays a Planeswalker, it'll be negated. So Min actually has the tools necessary to win here. And he's like, you know what, I like what I have on board.
I like Hal's play there of just passing the turn back because he could cast Bluegranos through Nykthos.
Yeah.
Chooses not to because he knows that a verdict could be coming. The other thing I like though is just make him answer these two Burning Tree Emissaries, which is exactly what the verdict is going to do. That's a pretty healthy 2-for-1. But if
Still
you're
dangerous.
Brady, if you're Brady, you really don't mind that.
Not at all. Actually, I don't know if I'd even do that. Depends on how many land are in my hand. I might take 4 and then 4 again and take all this damage because, again, the red deck doesn't really have a way. This deck doesn't have a really way to reach and finish you off. It does have Mistcutter Hydra, but if you're Min and it worked out fine, if he untaps and plays a Planeswalker and you don't have a Defense Sphere or Hero's Downfall, you're back in the same situation you were earlier. He drops Xenagos, you're done. But he dodges the bullet, if you will.
Temple Deceit's going to scry the top card to the bottom there for Tran. Brady's going to draw a land. It's a Forest Voyaging Satyr, feeling tough, coming in the red zone. Going to knock Tran down to 15. Follow-up is Polukranos, the World Eater, and we'll pass that turn back over to Tran, who will untap his land. You see a Detention Sphere, there's a draw. There's a Godless Shrine coming to play tapped. And he's going to slide some mana around.
Detention Sphere on that Polukranos coming, I think, because he has negate back up and he will gladly risk it here.
The important thing here is how do you want to tap his mana?
Yeah. A big thing is, knowing we have the Destructive Revelry in hand, is when you do it, because if you wait until mana's tapped and catch him off guard, and in EOT, Polukranos being freed is a pretty big game there.
You see Brady slide that Destructive Revelry forward to his hand. He did just draw a Mistcutter Hydra, which X could be 4 right now, and X for 4 is actually a pretty good spot to be.
I think that's what I would play here, because he only has 2 mana up. It's either, and he can Azorius Charm. He either has Doomblade or he's taking 4 damage.
I feel like if he had Doomblade, you can make an argument that if he had Doomblade, he would have taken care of Polukranos, but I guess at the same time, again, players both have deck lists, so Tran knows that those Mistcutter Hydras are going to be coming at him,
Right.
so probably just want to save that. So Voyaging Satyr is going to come in. We're going to save that. We're going to save that Mistcutter Hydra for a better spot, play another Voyaging Satyr, and pass the turn back.
I like this play too. Having Destructive Revelry, just like we mentioned at a turn, is going to be a pretty nice little play here. We know it's going to be negated if Min knows. Yeah, he's going to have to negate this.
He is going to have
too much damage.
Yep. So negate is going to take care of the Revelry. Going to leave Polukranos still under the Detention Sphere. But I think now, as a Xenagos is drawn, and this is kind of the scary thing, Green Devotion just has a lot of healthy threats that they can draw to. You see Xenagos and Mistcutter Hydra in the hand. Haven't even mentioned the Garrett Caller of Beast that could come to the show soon too.
We mentioned this just kind of like the threat density that Green Red has. A big thing, like I've noticed on Moto, it kind of gets me a little angry too. When my green-red opponent's on 4 land all spells, it's tough to beat.
Yeah.
Like, that's where you want to be, 4 land all spells. And that's what Hal is doing here.
Mistcutter Hydra's going to come in for 5. Can't be countered, can't be Azorius Charm, so 5 to the face here for Tran. Going to knock him down to 9 as you Mistcutter Hydra on the screen. Great sideboard card in this format for green decks. Really potent against blue-white control and Esper.
So I think the play here, I think you just play your land tapped, and then we Revelation for 4 here. And you'll be fine. I don't think the 2 life is worth it here for the 1 extra card, but we'll see if it actually comes into play.
The draw step here is another Voyaging Satyr for Brady.
I'm not greedy. 5 cards and 4 cards, good enough,
You're not greedy has been announced.
Yes, actually I lied. I am very
Yeah,
greedy.
you are.
Just with mulliganing, you and I don't know if you're in the same boat. I'm pretty lazy. Shuffling your whole hand back in takes a long
I
time.
love a healthy mulligan.
Oh, do you?
There's a negate to take care of Xenagos. I do. I love a mulligan. Here's an attack for 7. So this is, in theory, lethal, but Sinks Revelation for 3
Yep.
is going to leave Tran at 3 after the dust does settle. But again, he's in some trouble. He needs a Supreme Verdict. 2 and 3. Revelation, the cards drawn among those. Brady happily passes the turn back, so Tran's going to take a draw step.
I think Revelation will keep him alive too. Keep him at 1. No,
Doomblade
Doomblade's
will
gonna
work.
draw. Yeah, I think. I'm trying to see what's in his hand here. He has 2 land, he has Doomblade, and he has Revelation plus something else.
He's also got a Jason hand, too.
Okay, so Jace and Doomblade are the plays here. Especially if he knew that card as a verdict. But yeah, Jace here would be very good. Plussing Jace, and then having Doomblade open. Pretty good plays here.
See if that's the line that Tran does fine. Of course, Jace going up would negate those Voyaging Satyrs. Doomblade would take care of that annoying Mistcutter Hydra.
Yeah, the only thing Hal could do to kill Min right off the bat would draw another Mistcutter Hydra. Because luckily, being red, you assume there's a little more haste in the deck. But, nah, just this guy. But this guy's pretty good.
See, Min's going to rearrange how he taps his man here, make sure that he can leave up as many non-basics as possible. So now here is the Architect of Thought.
And it's funny because there's actually just a card that ends the game from if Hal draws in, that's Burning Earth. We see that he only has a couple basics there, and that's just not enough. Blue and white, so pretty much cuts him off black mana.
You see, Jace is going to go down.
Wow.
2 Thought Seizes and a Pithing Needle.
That is risky.
And this is pretty interesting to me because I feel like what he's doing is that if he ups Jace, basically what he's saying is I don't want your Voyaging Satyrs to attack me.
Right.
So that means you can use them for mana. And what I like about that is that this might induce an attack, and then what happens is that the Planeswalker, the Garruk, doesn't actually come down.
Yeah.
Because maybe he tries to attack with Voyaging Satyrs. So this could be, kind of like this cry for help that, I need something here. It's now Pithing Needle is going to come
What do you think
into
about
play.
Pithing Needle main phase?
I think I'm okay with the pre-active Pithing Needle if you
If he
think that
names
your
Garruk.
yeah, if you think your opponent has Garruk, he's going to name
Xenagos.
Xenagos.
Problem is, there only 2 copies of Xenagos in
Yep.
this deck. Yeah, so he only cut off 1 more copy, and there's 4 Garruk, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, see, you can definitely name Garruk here.
Doomblade takes care of the Hydra. Going to take 1, and you see a land.
Oh,
get
he's going to
drawn.
be sick after this.
Yeah. Now here comes the Caller of Beasts.
I assume he would name, you have to name the density of threats there.
Now 5 cards off the top. Mistcutter Hydra and Nylea, God of the Hunter, going to come to hand. Burning Earth goes to the bottom among 2 other lands. So those 2 cards are going to go to the grip. So now he has to deal with the Garruk and the Mistcutter Hydra that's coming and everything else. So
I don't want to say Min would have been in good shape, but he would have been close to victory there if he named Garruk, because he's holding 2 Garruks in his hand.
yeah, would have been in much better shape. I understand the fear of Xenagos, but again, you mentioned the numbers do add up where there's only 1 Xenagos left versus 4 Garruks.
And you're holding Sphinx's Revelation, so another reason you could have had more defense. You could have plus Jace the last turn, so even if he has Xenagos, it doesn't do anything to you, doesn't kill you. And then you can untap and you Revelation for, what's that, a jillion?
Yeah,
I mean,
a healthy amount.
yeah.
Watergate's going to come into play tapped. Here is Supreme Verdict to clear up the board.
What do you think about that verdict right there?
I think I would want to Jace first before I do anything because I need to find an answer to Mistcutter Hydra that I know my opponent has. So the first thing I would want to do is do this. Blood Baron with Scope
Blood
is
Baron's
not
a good
bad.
one.
Yeah,
That's a good one. He's going
it's actually a great one.
Yeah.
Wow. So now Blood Baron's going to come into play. Lands are going to go to the bottom. Going to pass the turn back.
If Hal draws a land, he's chump blocking with that. Oh, and he does not. That's a good dodge there. Good dodge there.
Now, Garruk is kind of interesting in this situation because we might see the minus ability put a creature into play. You could put something like Nylea, God of the Hunt, in play. Or we could just see this, which is going to go on up. Here's a Dominator.
I never see that, but there are certain circumstances where that'd be pretty good.
Pelucrino, so 1 for 5. Kind of dodging a little bit here. Garruk is still finding things, and again, you do have to answer Garruk at some point because boy, is that card tough to beat.
That is, I assume pretty much if I'm playing Esper, it's the only card to beat. So you have something like Esper really having a difficulty dealing with Garruk, so you think that Pithing Needle would be pretty much reading, when it comes into play, name Garruk Caller of Beast.
Yeah.
That's what I would play it as.
Oh, you're going to see Tran's going to untap him. Don't forget, he does have that Revelation still, so
Yeah.
he's doing okay. As we do, a quick update on our other match here. Mr. McGuffey, the blue-white control player, is up a game over Lacoon playing red-white Devotion.
Okay, and again, that's the matchup where I thought would be a little bit closer. It looks like Min has made some interesting decisions especially when it came to the Pithing Needle there, where it would be a whole different ball game if that was on Garrick, but now it's on Xenagos, and especially when you have Sphinx's Revelation in your hand and you're able to refill and then gain, looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 life if he plays a land, you're not really scared of a bunch of little dorks flying at you with haste there. You know what's dork I'm scared of hasting, rather? Would be that Hydra that he's
Yeah.
holding. That's one that's scary. So he's thinking about what to do, and he really can't do much because he just has Revelation in his hand. So he's going to have just the main phase, I think, you Revelation here. Or you wait till his turn. Either way is fine.
I think you wait till his turn.
Yeah, either way is fine.
You can just leave up a bunch of mana and represent a lot of different things here. I think you see his organizing mana, so I think he's trying to figure out exactly how much to rev for.
Yeah, I think he's just thinking about hitting a Doomblade also. I don't think he needs to. I think I'd rather just chump block with Baron, Blood Baron, because what's he going to... And he's going to actually Revelation for a lot less, and I don't like this play at all. Because if... Well, it depends on how much mana he has available. Can Hal untap and fight Blood Baron to death with his Devotion land, with Nykthos? I don't think he can he?
There's a temple. No, Nykthos is not close to big enough to be able to get the job done. I mean,
Right.
there's the potential for it to get bigger next turn.
Right. But that was, you need... How much mana do you need there? Double, 8, 10? 10 mana to kill Blood Baron?
Hey, 10 mana is not tough for this deck, I tell you.
Oh, yeah, I've seen it. Because if you do it for maximum here and gain and go up to 9, even if he plays like Hydra, you chump block and then you untap and you verdict and kill everything. So I think you want to draw the maximum here, gaining all that life and going to 9, and then having 3 more cards in your hand. We saw him shock himself last game just for 1 more card, or earlier this game. So 3 cards, you know.
There's also something to be said of just being an Esper player, just passing with a bunch of mana and 2 cards up. It represents a lot of different things. It's easy to put them on Sphinx's Revelation, but they could also just have removal spell, counterspell.
That's
or
true.
Something of that nature. Well, now, by organizing all that mana and considering how much of it you want to use on your main phase, it's a dead giveaway that you need help with
Yeah,
that Revelation.
that's
because
true.
you're not really organizing your mana for anything else.
Yeah, you put 3 to the side, then a big pile on the other side. We know what he's about to do.
Yeah.
Another thing is, bluffs aren't what they used to be, These aggro guys, they don't care.
Yeah, just cast my awesome creature.
Yeah.
Nylea, going to come into play off of Garrick. And it is active, of course, do the Devotion. 2 from Garrick, 2 from Belucranos, and 1 from the Mystic. Or you can count the Nylea itself. And so that Nykthos could actually tap for 6 mana. So 7, 8, 9. You see Nylea got to the hunt up here.
So
Other creatures will have trample, and we're threatening +2/+2 as well.
So he's basically 1 mana short of just fighting and calling this a day, right?
Yeah.
It's
See
wow.
2 copies of the Mistcutter Hydra in the grip here for Brady. So his hand is stock loaded. And this is another reason that I agree with you where it's just this situation where that Revelation needed to be for the full amount skis.
Yeah.
Now there's Mistcutter. It's going to be big
Trampling too.
Yeah. And everything's going to come to the side. He says 1 second. I think I might have an effect.
And he's going to chump block, or not chump, he can't only chump so much. He'll block Pelucranos. Doesn't really matter which one he blocks, actually. He's going to gain 4, and then take 1 trample. So he's going to gain 3, go to 9, take 7, he'll go to 2. If he attacks with the elf, he'll go to 1. So he's going to survive this attack. However, he didn't bite. He Revelation, drew 3 less cards. Hal's like, whatever, I'm still going to play on my spells because I'm a red-green aggro player, and I'm going to, I'm not scared of your little 3 mana up you have, so. All right, so Minh chumps here.
Does he have
And
a removal spell is the question.
I don't think he does. He definitely is. Yep,
Okay, yeah, fair enough.
I guess it was lethal. Let's see,
Yeah.
7. Pelucranos is 8 damage total. He absorbs 4. Is he dead?
Yeah, just because of trample. I mean, he's at so
He gained 4.
he goes up to 10.
10.
-1 is set. -1
Is 9.
9.
7 goes to 2.
Ooh. Uh-oh.
It didn't even feel like lethal. Like it was.
That's because it wasn't lethal.
No, yeah, especially even with the elf, it was only put him at 1. So that's why man. All right.